What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. The number one question that I get, and to be honest with you, what most people don't understand is simply what I do, which is helping people to buy their first home. If you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to buy your first home, but you don't know where to start, get in here. This video is for you. But before we start, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and like the video, and make sure that you share this with someone that is looking to buy their first home too. So what I tell anyone when they're looking to buy their first home is, number one, buying a home is not as hard or as expensive as you may think it is. Listen, I know a lot of times when people are thinking about buying a home, they'll talk to, family, friends, maybe someone that has purchased a home before, and they may get horror stories about what it's like to buy a home. I always try to disarm people with saying that, listen, buying a home is not as bad as you may think. It is not as expensive as you might think either. It's not as bad as you probably think it is. I promise you that. So the first step to buying a home is what we call pre-approval. Pre-approval is a very easy process. It is just talking to a lender. If you're looking to buy in Maryland, DC, or Virginia, I have very good lenders in the area that can help you. It's doing an online application with the lender. They'll want to know things like, how much money do you make? But more importantly, not just how much you make, but how much debt do you have? That's all debt. That's student loans. That's car payments. That is credit card debt. That is personal loans. Anything that you're paying recurring, and even if you owe taxes to the IRS, that's okay. They want to know all of your debt, and not only that, but how much you make. And then they also want to pull your credit. Now, technically, you can buy at a 580 credit score. But let's dive in a little bit deeper into credit score. So as I said, you can technically buy at a 580 credit score. Would I recommend that? Personally, I wouldn't, unless you're in a situation where you have to be out, your lease is up, and you really, really want to buy a home. But in my opinion, you should be shooting for at least a 620 credit score, because anything under 620, that difference between 580 credit score and 620 in an interest rate can be huge. So once you hit the 620 credit score, that's when you're starting to get much better interest rates, and it's much easier to buy a home when you're at least at a 620 credit score. If you're looking for first-time home buyer programs, meaning you're a first-time home buyer and you qualify for the programs, then typically most of those programs, at least in the DC metro area, they'll require at least a 640 credit score. Now, the biggest thing when it comes to first-time homebuyer programs, since we're talking about that, is just because you're a first-time homebuyer doesn't actually mean that you qualify for any program. So what does that mean? So with these programs, there's almost always parameters to all these programs, meaning that there's typically income maximums for these programs. So if you make a super high salary, you may not qualify. There's typically debt to income ratio requirements as well too. So if you make good money, but you have a whole bunch of debt, you may not qualify. And also there's credit score requirements as well too. Kind of like I was saying, most of these programs require at least a 640 credit score to purchase your first home. So it's not a given that just because you're a first-time home buyer that you'll actually qualify for any first-time home buyer programs. But once you're pre-approved, again, they will do your application, they'll pull your credit, and then they want you to submit financial documentation so that way they can see your entire financial picture. They'll want typically 4 major things, well really 5, but 4 major docs. They'll want your last 2 months of bank statements, your last 2 months of pay stubs, and your last 2 years of tax returns from your job, and your last 2 years of W-2s from your jobs as well too. They also will want a picture of your license to make sure that you're actually who you say that you are. You're not trying to scam. You're not trying to say that you're somebody that you're actually not. So once you submit all those things, the lender will take into account all your application, so how much you make, how much debt you have. They'll pull your credit. They'll also look at all your financial docs, tax returns, W-2s, bank statements, pay stubs. They'll check your ID to make sure you're who you say you are. They'll run all your numbers, and then they'll let you know a specific dollar amount that you qualify for, which will be typically the maximum that you qualify for. So for sake of this conversation, if you qualify for $500,000, that's the maximum typically that you can purchase at. and then we start shopping for your home once you're pre-approved. You get pre-approved first for two major reasons. Number one, we want to make sure that you know what budget that you have. The lenders that I work with, they will give you a projected mortgage payment. Now, granted, they can't give you an exact mortgage payment because it's going to be projected on what your interest rate may be, and interest rates fluctuate every day. So they'll give you a projected range of what your payment could be and how much you would need out of pocket. So that way you know, number one, before you start, how much can you actually afford in a home? That's the first thing. Second thing is, especially if you're buying a resale home, most sellers want to know that you're pre-approved before they'll even look or take into consideration your offer. So if you're not pre-approved and we put in an offer on a home, a seller's not even going to take your offer seriously because you haven't gone through the process of getting pre-approved first. So we get you pre-approved first. So number one, you know how much you qualify for and how much that range will be payment-wise and out of pocket. And second, we get you pre-approved first. So that way, when you find the home that you want, a lender or a seller will actually take your offer into consideration. So once you get pre-approved, the exciting part starts. That's when we start to actually shop for your home. And what does that look like? That's if you watch any of the shows like on HGTV and people are house hunting and things like that. That's what they're doing. They've gotten pre-approved and they're starting to look for their home. So that's you and your realtor looking at the market every day, seeing what homes that you like on the market. And once you find the one that you want to go for, you go take a look at it in person. If you like it, you put in an offer on the house. An offer is a very easy process. It's just a contract on the house. If the seller likes it, we may go back and forth with negotiation. Once we negotiate everything up, the seller, once they are okay with the offer, they'll sign off on it and you're officially under contract. Get excited because that's when the house is actually going to be yours. So after you're under contract and you're all excited, two major things happen after you're under contract. Number one, we get the house inspected to make sure that the house doesn't have a bunch of problems, because who wants to move into a home that has a whole bunch of issues going on? Anything that needs to be fixed with the house, the seller will fix that on their dime. We negotiate that as your agent. I negotiate that on your behalf. And the second thing is we get the house appraised. We want to make sure that you're not overpaying for your house and that the lender will only give you a loan for how much the house appraises for, not how much it's under contract at. So once we get the inspection done, we get the appraisal done. After that, you're just working with the lender to get your loan approved. When you're working with the lender to get your loan approved, you go through a process called underwriting. Underwriting is essentially the last, make sure that all of the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, make sure your file looks good. Bear with them. You may get some requests for documentation that you feel like you have submitted already. That's okay. Underwriting kind of sucks for everybody, don't worry. But that's the thing that you go through. And then once you go through that, you get your loan approved. You get what's called a clear to close. After you get your clear to close, then we schedule your closing, which is super exciting. When you close, you sign all the documents. Be ready, because there's a whole lot of documents to sign. You sign all the documents, you get the keys, and then it's your house and you're a homeowner. And that's the exciting part. The culmination of all of your work, all of your maybe saving, getting your credit score together, the culmination of all of that is getting in your home, signing those docs, getting the keys, and officially becoming a homeowner. Of course, if you're looking to buy in the Washington, D.C. metro area, I would love to help you. I've sold over $100 million of real estate in my career. I've worked with over 250 clients in this area in just the past 6 years that I've been full-time in real estate. I would love to help you, but that's the thing that I tell anyone is it's not as hard or as expensive as you may think to buy a home. When you work with a good real estate agent like myself and you have a good loan officer, it's really not that hard. And I say this to all of my clients, and they laugh when I say this a lot of times, but it's the truth. If you can follow instructions, you can buy a home, because we tell you literally everything that you'll need to know about purchasing a home We tell you, we make it very, very easy for you. And any questions that you have, you can ask, reach out during the entire process. We got you covered, but you can follow instructions, you can buy a home. If you have any questions, my contact information is in the description of the video. If you're looking for a free consultation, you can put time on the calendar. That link is in the description below too. But I promise you, buying a home is really not that bad, and we'll walk you through the entire process. We would love to help you in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Buying a home can be a lot of fun, and it's the #1 way to build wealth in America, and we would love to help you do that.